Have you ever had a job that paid the bills but left you anxious, unseen, or unsure that you could keep going? If you've ever thought that there has to be a better way to work and to build a business, then this episode is for you. Today we sit down with Alexa Avery, a 23-year-old entrepreneur and the founder of Lecca Service Group, a North Carolina-based company providing Airbnb property management and premium cleaning services across Durham, Apex, Pittsboro, Fuquay-Varina, Chapel Hill, and surrounding areas. This conversation goes beyond cleaning and operations. It's about values. Alexa shares how her own experience with job anxiety became the spark for a mission-driven company built on respect, fair pay, transparency, and real growth opportunities for every team member. If you're building something and you want to build it better, Alexa's advice for young founders will help you stay with it. Thank you for joining us. Let's get to it. Hello, listeners. Welcome to another episode of the WEBB Remedy Podcast. My name is Rinny, and I am the Executive Director of WEBB Squared, your podcast host and producer and editor of the podcast. Today, I'm so fortunate to have Alexa Grace with us. She's the founder of Lecca Service Group. She's 23 years old. Alexa is a fabulous entrepreneur. She's turned personal experience with job anxiety into a mission-driven business that prioritizes respect, fair pay, and growth for every team member. Alexa, we're so happy to have you with us today to share your journey from employee to founder. Please welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Rinny. Excited to be here.
I'm thrilled to be talking with you today. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, and I can honestly say that you're the youngest that I've worked with this past year, and I feel like I've gotten to know you pretty well. Will you tell our listeners a little bit about what inspired you to start Lecca Service Group? What is your business, and what are you all about?
Well, the business is commercial cleaning. We service short-term rentals, offices, community spaces, windows, and even solar panels.
So what inspired you to start a cleaning business?
It was my own trials and tribulations. I had a rough start, I had to get my GED, and I was struggling to find my own path. I was able to get myself into some pretty cool opportunities and learning experiences, such as running a spa. It really piqued my interest working with people in spaces such as that. But then some cards were dealt, and I was given a certain hand that meant I couldn't find any more gainful employment. I was kind of stuck, and I do feel that the world, as a young and at that point uneducated brown woman, significantly lacking resources, the world was telling me that I had a limited amount of paths that I had the options to pursue, none of which I wanted. I had done cleaning on the side for years. When people needed it and they called me and I was available, I would show up. Then I realized that was my seed to get me to the next set of opportunities.
So you went from just cleaning people's houses into starting your own business, and now you're projecting out like commercial cleaning, you're getting some contracts, working with some Airbnb people. Can you tell us a little bit about what that experience has been like for you? I mean, you've only been out there for about a year, right?
Yes. I've been out here for a year as an official business. That's when I started really going hard and trying to create jobs for others. Before that, I had made strategic connections with property managers and the like so I could learn the field. Cleaning on the side, it was much more residential, and as I made connections and learned more, I realized that commercial cleaning is really where it's at. Mostly because you usually go after hours, and I was really struggling with social anxiety for a time, sometimes even now. So it allowed me to pivot from a customer service-centered approach to a behind-the-scenes approach.
But before we get into much of the mindset stuff around your business, can you tell me a little bit about the name Lecca and how you came up with Lecca Service Group?
It sounds a lot like Alexa, but it's not selfish. Lecca is actually a very popular growth medium that doesn't require traditional soil for plants to grow. It's in alignment with my company where we plan to grow fertilized soil or not. Anybody can clean as long as you're willing to put in the work, the effort, and the attention to detail, and take pride in doing things right the first time. I've learned cleaning is a very basic lesson in life that a lot of people skip over, and there is so much more to learn from cleaning than just cleaning. Cleaning is for the heart, for the soul.
Speaking of the heart, last month was Women's History Month, and we asked our female entrepreneurs or women entrepreneurs, what does freedom look like for you as an entrepreneur? Get a hint of what you're talking about, that, having employment that's actually going to serve you rather than having to rely on other things to make money, from what you just said. But do you want to share a little bit about what you think freedom means to you personally?
Yes, freedom means to me that I'm not feeling afraid for my job every day. I don't have to sweat about income issues. And instead of sweating about income issues, I can sweat about growth issues. My income isn't capped. I'm not having to get 2 or 3 jobs to supply for just myself, if anybody else. And freedom allows me to make my own choices and carve out my own path without the constraints of the reality provided for me, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. So as you've been putting your business together the past couple of years, how has that experience shaped or influenced the culture you want to create for your business?
In my past work experiences, I definitely noticed that work environment and valuing your people really matters. I was in a position for a while where I wore many, many hats and did high quality work, in my opinion, and absolutely loved the environment, but I wasn't compensated properly. The compensation I was getting did not allow me to be independent, not even close, but the work I was doing and the value I added to the space was worth much more. Not to toot my own horn. I was praised but not raised, and the raise is so, so important. And also, when you're showing up to a place of people that are only there for work, it makes it a bit more challenging for me. And when I show up to work environments that are more personal and more connected, it made it much, much easier to go into work. It didn't really feel like work. It felt like, oh yes, I get to make money.
I feel that way for WEBB Squared too. Really, when I'm working, it doesn't seem like work. I show up every day and I just am doing projects that I love and that I'm really excited about. And then at the end of the day, I go home, I'm like, when did I go to work?
Heck yeah, exactly.
So I guess as a young entrepreneur and you've been just starting out and doing your business, that there are matters of mindset that you need to explore along with the practical elements of running a business. What are some of those matters of mindset that you have come to recognize in yourself as you're on this journey?
In terms of imposter syndrome, not thinking I'm good enough, lacking confidence, and really there's no room for that. It's all in your head to a certain point.
Yeah.
And I had to realize what wasn't in my head and how I could fix that. If I could fix that, you can't fix everything. Everyone has their own opinions, but doing everything I can to grow myself into the person that I know I am.
In our conversations together, we've often talked about discipline and as a matter of mindset. And, Stephanie, my co-founder of WEBB Squared, she always said discipline is the ability to give yourself a command and then follow through. And so would you share a little bit about some of your reflections that we've had on discipline with the listeners?
Yes. Okay. So as an entrepreneur, you're chasing freedom, right? Mm-hmm. So the word discipline can feel a bit constraining or like you're being told what to do. But I had to shift that mindset and realize discipline in certain areas is very freeing. Discipline with time management, for example, that's an easy one. If you're disciplined with that, it frees you up to do so much more with your time.
But I've seen a lot of growth over the last year of working with you, and I feel like you've come away a long way since we met. Has your time at WEBB Squared helped you since you started working with us?
WEBB Squared has definitely helped me with my vision and being able to dream bigger, because at first I had created a job for myself, and then I realized I wanted to create jobs for others as well so they could experience what I'm experiencing, but I didn't know how to professionally get there.
Okay.
So WEBB Squared has really helped put me in the places that I need to be, in the rooms that I need to be in, talking with the people that I need to be talking with. And in terms of accountability, if I say it in this room of professionals versus who else I would be saying it to, like maybe a family member or somebody completely removed from my situation, it's completely different. So and WEBB Squared has also given me the community of entrepreneurs, which I guess goes along right with what I just said. But we'll have the group think group think sessions or the marketing classes, and I always love the conversations that we have going on in there.
Do you mind if I ask you about an experience you had just recently where you were involved in a little bit of a hit and run accident?
Of course, go right ahead.
Well, if I remember right, you said that somebody sideswiped you while you were walking and you ended up in the hospital and the police were called and the person had jumped back in their car and drove away. And that I was thinking as far as like mindset and being a solo entrepreneur, that really having to depend on your work as your income coming in while you're recuperating has to be a little challenging, right?
For sure. It makes me question, why have I not scaled larger much quicker? If I was in a different place, this really wouldn't affect me so much financially. And if my business model wasn't so good in terms of paying employees and team members, I'd be in a much better place just with that. But I stick to my values, I stick to my morals, and I try to stay on the positive side of things, thinking about how much harder I need to push to get more employees, how much harder I need to push to get my vision out there so people know what's going on, because we've traveled very heavily on word of mouth so far.
Mm-hmm. How are you balancing the self-care that you need to recuperate with sustaining your company? And what are some of the challenges right now? And what can we do to help you with those challenges?
The balancing at first was really hard because at first I couldn't move. I couldn't put my panties on by myself. So yeah, I had to have help and I couldn't really be productive or effective for my company in any way, which really makes you think as a small business owner. But yeah, as I'm healing, I have to prioritize self-care much higher for my long-term health so that I'm okay and I don't hurt myself further. It's been an opportunity to center and think about what I wanted, where I want to be, why I'm not already there, the trajectory that I'm on, where it's going to go, and how do I get there.
What advice would you give someone like yourself who has an idea about a business and they want to build a company with purpose, but they're also young and they're just starting out, and you've been doing this for a couple of years? What kind of perspective would you share with them?
I would share about balance. I know everybody speaks about balance, but it's really important to have. You can have your dream and your vision, but you can't forget about your community and your connections outside of that, because you don't want to build something and then have nothing and nobody to celebrate with, nobody to love. Oftentimes, business owners are shown as working 24/7, which in a way we are, but you have to make sure that work allows you to touch base with family and not accidentally disconnect you from them. I realized very early on that that was not something I'm willing to sacrifice. And believing in yourself. It's great to listen to others and take advice, that everybody has a different sense of reality. If they're telling you that that's not realistic or that you can't do it or that you shouldn't be doing it that way, to consider your source. And when you consider your source, you should be able to more easily sort out whether that information really applies to you and whether it should be carried with you, or if it's just a thought that you need to process, think about, let go.
And I think also knowing yourself and believing yourself leads us to celebrating ourselves, right? And our work and our accomplishments.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes when I'm at the end of a project, okay, I'm just going to admit to you right now, my go-to celebration usually involves ice cream, whipped cream, and M&Ms.
Oof, that's a good one.
What do you like to do to celebrate yourself?
My go-to celebration is a nice fancy dinner all by myself.
Is there a place you like to go?
Yes, it's another small business, Alexander's in Garner. It's in...
What kind of food?
It's Mediterranean. It's delicious, all made by one man.
Mediterranean is pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Everything from scratch. I know, because I used to work there.
So you have it in with the owner.
Oh, yeah.
So you go dinner by yourself?
Yes, I do.
Why do you like going by yourself?
Just so I can have the space and the place to think, and also... I'll let you in on a little secret. I sit there and I'm like, they don't know who I am. And I could be anybody to them, you know? Like, who is this woman sitting by herself? And usually I dress up because, you know, you can't dress up for everything.
Do you people watch?
Yes, I do.
Do you make up stories about people, who they are, why they're in the restaurant?
They probably are made up, but I feel like it's reality.
Do you go to movies by yourself?
I have not done that yet.
Someone laughed at me the other day and said, "You go to movies by yourself?
Oh my
Why
gosh.
do you go to movies by yourself?" And I said, "Well, I've always gone to movies by myself because by the time you call up somebody and make plans and try to coordinate meeting up, usually
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
tough.
easier to have bought a ticket and go by yourself."
Yeah, enjoy the experience. That's also another theme. You can't wait for other people to go after it. It's quite invigorating. I've been recently doing it with no phone or anything. I'm just trying to sit there and enjoy everything. And as I gain more money, I'd like to go on vacations.
Oh,
But
yeah?
right now, yeah, it's fancy dinners.
Do you have any destinations you want to check out?
Iceland, which I feel like is a really weird one. Whenever I say that, people are like, huh? But I really want to go there for some reason. I'm not sure how that seed was planted in my head, but I think it's gorgeous.
Well, and I think it's closer than you might think, and I've heard that it's really kind of affordable to fly there and just be there for a week or two.
Oh yeah, it's the first one I plan to cross off my list.
So yeah, I'm sure you've been asked this before. It's a very common icebreaker question. If you could have a superpower, what would it be? But I'm going to kind of reframe it a little bit for this conversation. What is your superpower? What do you know about yourself already that you know that you got?
Resilience. And not everybody would consider that a superpower, but in terms of human superpowers, I really think it is. For me, resilience and positivity, if I can pick two. Because I've been through a lot, as we all do, but it's not so much what happens to you, but what you do after. After I got hit by a car, I had a couple choices. Wallow in self-pity and pain, or figure out what positions I can stand the pain in, how to move around, and how to come back from this stronger than ever. I did wallow for 2.5, but it's not sustainable. 2.5 could mean seconds, weeks, or days. We don't know. Another thing of advice, I forgot it, but it's come back to me. What did Lauryn Hill say? How do you expect to win if you ain't right within? Which this is so true because you have to ensure that you're taking care of yourself. Getting hit by the car, I had to refocus and put myself first, which is not always the case for me. I like to put my business first, other people first, and then me last.
I think that's common for a lot of people.
Yeah, so I had to reframe it and say no to people. No, I can't show up. They say, "Why? I got hit by a car." But yeah, taking care of yourself requires resiliency. Not so much in terms of self-care, which in my head I associate with things like baths or doing my nails and things like that, but taking care of myself, like fueling my body with the proper items.
You mean like food and nutrition?
Yeah, food, nutrition. It's so funny story. Years ago, I'm much better at taking care of myself now. I had a few visits to the emergency room because of severe dehydration, just because
Oh,
I was
dear.
working. So yeah, it's really important. So yeah, paying attention to when I'm hungry and not just working through it, making sure I get enough rest, not too much rest. You know.
Thank you. I think that's all really great advice. We're coming to the end of our conversation and all the questions that I had for you. Are there any final thoughts that you would like to share with listeners of the WEBB Remedy Podcast?
As my final thought, I'll use a piece of advice that I got the other day.
Okay.
Imagine who you want to be, where you want to be, at the end of everything, and then use that today to think of what would she have done to get there, and what steps do I need to take to get there. That advice is really good in my opinion because when I picture that girl, it's much easier for me to make the move because right now maybe I'll feel helpless or unprepared or imposter syndrome, any of the things. But when I'm able to see her right there, I can somewhat ask her what she would have done. So I've got this, if that makes sense.
I think so. You're talking about your future self guiding your present self, right?
Yes.
Last but most importantly, where can people find you?
LinkedIn, the Nextdoor app, our website. You can even call me. Should I say my number?
Sure.
919-332-6091.
Great. Fabulous. Thank you so much for sharing and being our special guest today. I hope that we can have you on in 6 months or so from now just to kind of do a check-in and see where you're at.
Absolutely. I'm very excited for these coming months. I'm very excited to heal. And thank you so much for having me, Rainey.
You're welcome, Alexa. As we close, let this be the reminder. Entrepreneurship really can be a path to freedom, But not just because you're your own boss. It becomes freedom when it's built on respect, fairness, and purpose. Alexa's story shows what's possible when a young founder decides to do business differently. She's redefining what work culture can look like, creating meaningful opportunities for others, and growing her own confidence right alongside her company and community. And if there's one thing we hope you'll take with you from this episode, it's this. The conversations we're willing to have about dignity, pay, leadership, fear, and growth are often the very things that move us forward. Thank you for listening, and as we always say, our evolution begins with dialogue. Thank you for listening to the WEBB Remedy Podcast, a mindset-shifting project of WEBB Squared. Wealth Through Entrepreneurship for Black and Brown Businesses is a North Carolina nonprofit located in Chatham County. We offer incubator accelerator business services to Black and BIPOC entrepreneurs. Our podcast hosts are Stephanie Terry and Rennie Orr, the co-founders of WEBB Squared. We realize that building an ecosystem of support is critical to achieving our mission. Your donation to WEBB supports the podcast, WEBB's coaching services, and the promotion of the businesses and entrepreneurs we serve. To learn more about WEBB Squared, please visit our website at webbsquared.org.